Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2015 European Challenger Series Spring Split. We're coming to you live from our brand new Challenger studio here in Berlin, Germany. I'm Richard Polscam, and manning the caster desk with me for the next 7 weeks is going to be James O'Leary.
And what an exciting 7 weeks we have lined up for everybody. We've got some of the best European Challenger teams around competing for an all-important spot in the LCS. I cannot wait to get started.
Yeah, me neither, dude. It's been a long time coming, but it's worth quickly running through the 6 teams that are going to be fighting to make it to the LCS. First up, it's Reason and NFAC, the two teams who made it from the EU LCS expansion tournament. Team Dignitas EU, previously known as SK Gaming Prime, Lowland Lions White, not known by a lot of people just yet, Origin, the big team everyone knows, and then Gamers 2, previously known as Nevo, Next Evolution.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting mix of experience. You've got former world champions in there in the likes of FLICKR. His lineup has a lot of former LCS players. And then over on the other side, you've got a lot of newer players. A lot of the Team Dignitas Europe lineup, the Gamers 2 lineup, are more unknown here within the competitive scene. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they shape up against each other.
Yeah, and see if some of that fresh talent can knock down the top teams a peg or two. But let's take a look at today's matches. First, it's Reason Gaming versus NFAC, the rematchup. Following that, it's Lowland Lions White versus Team Dignitas EU, and then ending the day, Gamers 2 versus Origin.
And what a big game that's going to be. That's two of the teams that everybody is saying are going to be #1 here in Challenger, going up against each other. And, you know, it's the only time these two are going to match up. They had one game yesterday. They've got this game today. Yeah. This could determine who's going to finish first.
It could. This is like a match you would expect to come later into the split. But either way, this season we have a brand new Challenger format. We have 6 teams now in a 5-week round robin. That means more games between the top Challenger teams for you guys at home.
It does indeed. And at the end of the round robin, the top 4 teams are going to go over into a playoff bracket. The top team from that are going to go automatically into the LCS Summer Split. Second and third Challenger teams will play against the 8th and 9th LCS teams, with the 4th place Challenger team staying in Challenger for the Summer Split. So with that automatic promotion spot on the line, it is more important to be in Challenger than it has ever been before.
Yeah, incredibly important to clinch that #1 spot. But teams will play each other once on Tuesday and again on Wednesday, playing the opposite sides of the matchup. Tuesday's matches are available on LOLesports.com's VOD Hub, and each Wednesday we'll be bringing you the matches right here on our show.
If you're still at all confused with anything to do with the new Challenger format, take a sneak peek at the article written by our very own Freak on LOLesports.com's featured article that has everything you need to know about Challenger.
I like the rhyme stress, but now let's take a look at our first matchup of today, NFAC versus Reason Gaming. At the expansion tournament we mentioned before in December, Reason Gaming ended NFAC's LCS dream by defeating them 3-0. It was a clean sweep. Let's take a look at their roster. There's Kubon in the top lane, Zayu in the jungle, Takefun in the mid lane, and Seller and Libic in the AD carrying support.
And one of the big beneficial things here for Reason Gaming coming into this split is they have that unchanged lineup since the expansion tournament. And, you know, during the expansion tournament, we saw a lot out of Takefun and Zayu, their mid and jungle synergy there. The question is, has that held up over the Christmas break? That's something we're going to have to find out.
Yeah, that is a very big question. But for their opponents and faculty, this is a chance of redemption after being knocked out of the expansion tournament by Reason Gaming. And just like Reason, apart from the jungle, their roster is pretty much unchanged. Let's take a look. Zaz is in the top lane, Robin, their new jungler, in the jungle, Soz Purefect in the mid lane, Cedrian and Mountain as AD and support.
Yeah, and NFAC are a team that pretty much, you know, you can put the word consistency to go with them. Everybody's always seen them place 3rd and 4th in a lot of tournaments. They crashed out of the expansion tournament without a win under their belt. And, you know, they brought in Zaz for the expansion tournament, and he's got a lot of experience as an LCS player, a lot of time in Challenger as well. One of the key focus for us with NFAC, apart from their new jungler, is going to be their bottom lane duo. You know, they've been together a long time, Cedrian and Mountain, they've been playing together. And one thing that isn't so common with a lot of Challenger teams is that they're together for quite as long. So we have to see how they shape up against some of the more heavily favored 2v2 bot lanes.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big story is just, can they stop being 3rd and 4th, and can they actually take a top 3 spot, which is what they need to do. But now these two teams did meet yesterday, so let's see how that match played out. So at the very start of the game, Robin absolutely controlled the early game. This new jungle pickup was super good for them. They got the early kill onto that mid laner of Takefun. That was a great start for them.
Yeah, certainly. It looked like a much more aggressive NFAC begin, and you can see it didn't stop there. Zayu getting bullied out of his own jungle here by Robin, and Zayu's normally a very aggressive player himself.
Yeah, we just saw him farming away, but Robin again returns to the mid lane and will just pick up another kill onto Takefun. Takefun tries to respawn, but just doesn't have enough damage.
Yeah, it was a great start for NFAC. Reason looked a little bit rocky, but this was the turning point for Reason Gaming. At this Dragon fight, it would have been N-Faculty second, but take a look at Zayu. Here's the playmaker on Lee Sin. There's a great kick into 3, and Sol's Perfect actually jumps in and gets himself hit up by the same knockup. They take a 4-for-0 and their first Dragon of the game. Reason started putting things back on the forward foot.
That was a beautiful Lee Sin flash kick coming in there, but then Reason actually started up the Baron, and then N-Faculty engage onto the Baron, and then Reason just mop up house. They just go all over N-Faculty. It's not even close. They pick up the Baron after this as well.
Yeah, and after that, Reason pretty much just as you'd expect, get the Baron siege up, get 2 inhibs down, and that's just all she wrote at that point. Reason was so far ahead, so in control, even off the bad start, that N-Faculty just couldn't keep up.
Yeah, Reason Gaming just came in with a superior team fight, and they just couldn't do anything. N-Faculty just didn't have a response after that early game. They looked pretty much lost, and Reason Gaming took control and knew how to finish out the game.
Yeah, and you know who had a really good game during that first game between these two? That's Celiva in that AD carry role. He played Kalista, and it's not too often recently we've been saying too much about Celiva, but certainly this game he showed up huge, and you have to feel like that's going to be a big talking point in N-Faculty coming into today's games.
Yeah, not since he's been in the LCS, but we took a look at the junglers before this. Robin and Zayu. That jungle swap up for Robin actually worked out really well. In the early game, he was like super far ahead, but then Zayu just outshone him in those team fights.
Yeah, indeed, and it was very strange actually, as normally when you get ahead on Rek'Sai, you want to be very aggressive, control the map, but his presence completely fell off.
Yeah, but we do want to take a closer look at those two junglers. So it's Reason's Zayu and then N-Faculty's new pickup of Robin. But I want to first talk about Zayu, because during the EU expansion tournament, Zayu was a key factor to the success during those victories. He was a big Lee Sin player. He's got hundreds of solo queue games on that champion. But during the tournament, he actually spoke to you, and he was saying that he actually felt that Lee Sin was weaker during the expansion tournament. But as we just saw there, he's returned to that champion.
Yeah, that was a really weird conversation I had with him, where he kind of just backtracked on everything he'd ever told me over the last year.
Like, Lee Sin's great.
Yeah, exactly. And then he was just like, nah, Lee Sin's bottom tier. This was still when Lee Sin was getting played like in Korea first pick all the time. So I was very confused then. I'm glad to see him back on Lee Sin, but that game he passively farmed for so long that the Rek'Sai of Robin just bullied him around the map. And, you know, that's not something we see all too much, and you have to watch out for that today.
Yeah, he actually went Trailblazer in that game as well. But his opponent, Robin, is very new to N-Faculty. He was actually a last-minute addition to the lineup, so no one really knew what to expect, as he was completely new to the competitive environment as well. But he showed early dominance in yesterday's game.
Yeah, it's been a little while since we've seen too much from Robin. I know he's been playing a lot with one of Deficio's favorite players in Godbro, and you know, going back and forth on a couple of teams. But really, this is his first time on the big competitive stage for us, at least within Challenge. And you know, he played very aggressively in the mid lane as well. Got himself in there, got a kill for himself, got a kill for Take Fun. But as I said earlier, Rek'Sai, you should really keep up that pressure, keep the vision control. But he wasn't able to do that. And honestly, that was where the game started going further and further back for N-Faculty.
Yeah, his presence absolutely fell off in that game, stress. But we only have a couple seconds left before we actually see the second game now as we head into Champion Select. And it'll be interesting to see if they take away that Lee Sin, because I know one of our concerns was like, Lee Sin's open, and Zayu's in this game, and they didn't do anything about it.
That was really interesting yesterday. There was actually a Rengar ban against Zayu. And yes, Zayu does play Rengar, but he's much more famed for his Lee Sin, so very surprising to give him a comfort pick, even though it kind of worked out for N-Faculty giving it over in the early game. They just need to kind of swap up the rest of their game.
Right, so we'll see the answer to that as we do head into Champion Select now. The first bans will be coming out, and these two teams will be putting those down. So as you mentioned, yeah, we actually had that Rengar ban come out last time, along with an Azir and the Ahri aiming towards that mid lane. But this time we have the Jarvan as the first ban from Reason Gaming.
Yeah, Jarvan is the first ban, Kalista is the second one, and we've seen a lot of Kalista play in North America. We saw a lot yesterday as well in our Challenger games. Not too surprising to see Kalista being banned away here in this game, because, man, that was a great performance out of Celiva yesterday, so N-Faculty clearly a little bit scared of that Kalista again.
Yeah, they'll be taking that one away, and they banned out the Zed, that being from Reason Gaming yesterday, and again, they'll be aiming that towards Robin, so they do ban out the Zed alongside that, though.
Yeah, exactly, and honestly, yesterday, you know, we saw some pretty strong performances all around, and yesterday's bans were very heavily focused towards the top lane. I believe we did actually get a Zed in yesterday's games when I look back at yesterday. Yeah, it was Take Fun playing Zed, but honestly, that was a little bit of a surprising turn of events that Zed got through. We weren't expecting that too much, and you know, we will get Champions Select back up on your screen.
Yeah, it hasn't gone forever, guys. It will be coming back soon. But yeah, I mean, we saw him on Zed. That was just a return to form. Take Fun does like those assassin mid laners, and it's nice to see him back on those again. again.
Yeah, indeed. And, you know, yesterday, we keep talking about yesterday's games because we got the opportunity to watch them. Yeah. So there's so much to talk about as well. Very interesting that a lot of the higher picks and bans that we've seen, the higher rated picks and bans, you look at the likes of Rek'Sai, you look at the likes of Ahri, LeBlanc, they were all kind of getting through yesterday quite a lot. We even saw an Azir at one point in one of the games, which hasn't been the case for a little while in competitive. So challengers, certainly, you never really know what you're going to get. Sometimes you just get all the strong picks.
Of exactly. Just like, random champions. But yeah, it was super interesting to see those games yesterday. And those are available at loesports.com. You take a look at the VODs Hub and you'll see the Tuesday's games. But yeah, I mean, as we head into this game, we didn't actually see a Lee Sin ban again.
Yeah,
so we'll see. We didn't see it yet. Unless they first pick it away from him. But
yeah, there's a lot of options here. Reason Gaming are on the blue side as well, so they will have the first pick. Yeah, exactly. But we didn't quite see all of the bans from what I remember on our screen here. But we will be back into Champion Select very shortly for you guys. But you know, honestly, I've been looking forward to this match quite a lot because there's a lot that goes into this rivalry. And from the outside, people are like, yeah, they've been around Challenger for quite a long time. But when you look at the record between Faculty and Reason Gaming, it's pretty one-sided.
Yeah, specifically between these two rosters, during the EU expansion tournament, it was 3-0. Recent Gaming actually followed up by going 0-6 against Giants.
Yeah.
We're not going to touch on that. But yeah, in this matchup, they're 3-0, and then Reason took a game yesterday, and now they're 4-0. So Faculty really have like a chip on their shoulder right now, where they really just need to pick up at least a win against them, because they won't be facing them again in the round robin from here on out.
No, that's it. You only get, pretty much just like LCS, you only play each team twice. So it's one for each side of the map.
Right, but you play them at the same time in the same week.
Yeah, it's a little bit different to LCS in that way, but at least it keeps us, you know, mentally on track of where we are in the red side, blue side thing. But honestly, a win here for Reason will put them in a good standing. I think coming into this, both of these teams, people's expectations are going to be that they're kind of like competing for that third, maybe second place, but we have to see where they end up.
Yeah, they can definitely aim there, but we are heading back into Champion Select now, and the same bans came out. It was actually Azir coming in as another ban champion here, and that was banned yesterday by Faculty against, again, Take Fun or Kuban. So they're just keeping up the trend. The cluster's only different so far. Yeah,
we haven't seen a Rengar yet. That is one thing that we haven't seen from this matchup. And yesterday we said we saw that out of Faculty, didn't want Zayu playing that. Now we have to see, do they still fear the Rengar? Do they fear the Lee Sin instead? Where are the rest of the bans going to go?
Yeah, Lissandra comes out as the third ban here, and they still, again, banned that yesterday. So they didn't have too many iterations coming into this one. And then we're just waiting for the last ban out from Faculty now.
Yeah, and there's still a lot available. Ahri is available. We're on 5.2, by the way, everybody, just so that everybody's aware of what patch we're on. So Ahri is still very strong. She's still available. Rek'Sai still available. The Nidalee jungle is still available as well, which we're kind of expecting to see from some of these games, and I think that's a great last ban.
Yeah, Ahri comes in as the final ban, and that is, again, also the same from yesterday. These teams haven't changed up too much, but hell, they're playing against the same matchups.
Yeah, I mean, Take Fun is a big Ahri player as well. That's something to keep in mind. Ahri, LeBlanc are kind of his main champions as a focus. I know that's the same case for a lot of mid laners right now.
Who doesn't play Ahri right now?
Yeah, exactly. But those are certainly the mid laners that Take Fun will excel on. As there is still a lot available here. We didn't quite mention the Kassadin. They are potentially looking at that. So yeah, we're looking at maybe if they wanted to pick up the Lee Sin for Zayu, that could be an option. They got a lot of strong laners. NACS still available as well here.
Yeah, we'll see if Faculty decide to take the Lee Sin away and maybe give it to Robin. But he saw it yesterday, and the early game he didn't struggle. And maybe Faculty are just seeing this as, actually we don't have a problem against the Lee Sin. It's only just that the team fights didn't work out for us, and that's where we struggled. So we can give Zayu his Lee Sin. We didn't fear it. So that might be the case. But we do actually have that Kassadin locked in.
Yeah, Kassadin's got locked in, so it's a flex pick, obviously. We've seen a lot of first pick Kassadins. SK have been doing it quite a lot, saying that they can give it to Fox in the mid lane if they really need to. But, you know, it's a pretty strong pick right now. Not a lot of laners can really shove Kassadin out. It's not the same as we used to see from Kassadin. So, you know, now what do Faculty do here? Do they pick away the Lee Sin? Do they pick the Rengar that they want for themselves? Janna is still available. Annie's still available from support as well. So there is so much still here for Faculty that it's really up to what they want. Yesterday, their priority picks were the LeBlanc, the Rek'Sai, and that combination could work very well for them again, because we saw them get 2 kills very early on off those 2 picks.
Yeah, Yeah, well, so far it does look like they may be prioritizing that Rek'Sai again, and maybe just putting the AD carry in there. But as you mentioned, yeah, LeBlanc, Rek'Sai, and Graves were the same prioritizations, but they don't really know where the Caston's going just yet, so they may hold off on that, and that seems to be the case. Graves comes in, Rek'Sai comes in as jungle, same as yesterday. Very
true, and of course, when you think about it a little bit more, that LeBlanc Hazard matchup isn't exactly what you'd want anyway, so very straightforward there from N-Faculty on what they're picking up, but you know, there's still so much available here for these teams, especially comfort picks as well. I mean, what will Reason pick up here? We know that Celeve yesterday, he had that the Kalista, not available again today. We saw the Graves out of Cedrian. That worked pretty well for them yesterday. So the question is, what do Reason want? It looks like they want that bottom lane pickup here.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it was Misfortune, but Corki makes a lot more sense. Yeah, Janna as well is just another top tier support that we've just seen over and over again and everywhere in competitive play. So that will be locked in, and then we'll just wait for what they have in store for the next pick.
Yeah, and this signals a lot of disengage coming out, a fair amount of mobility as well from Reason if they do indeed lock in a mobile AD carry as well. But you look at Kassadin, you look at a Janna, there's a fair amount of ways to get yourself away from a fight so far.
Yeah, they have a lot of disengage there. If they get caught, they're out of there. And plus, with the Lucian, it follows up the exact same trend.
Yeah, and that's a pretty strong lane when it comes to bullying people around in lane. Lucian's not quite as strong as he used to be. Still has a little trouble. It's actually the Lucian Graves matchup is a bit of a tricky one at times for Lucian. So I wonder whether Reason are going to look to lane swap this. It's not always a lane you want to sit in. So maybe we'll see a bit more burst coming out of N-Faculty, and that would be a tough lane to deal with for Reason.
Yeah, well, you talk about lane swappers. Well, we did see a lane swapper yesterday. We'll touch on that later in the show, but that didn't work out too well. So we'll see if these teams can execute that better if they decide to go for that. But now, N-Faculty, this is a fairly slow champion select from them. Yesterday, we saw a lot of the picks come in like thick and fast, but they're taking their time with this, just really thinking about what they want to put up against those laners in there. But now, with that locked in, they will lock in the LeBlanc as well. So they go with the same picks as they have before, and they pick up the Lulu.
Yeah, interesting that N-Faculty are kind of just saying, okay, we'll pick the LeBlanc into potentially the Kassadin. Lulu doesn't show, a full comp here, as Lulu could go top, could go support. We've seen Lulu starting to come back as support, especially when you pair with Graves. There's a fair amount of wave clear and a lot of pushing potential there with that duo. So N-Faculty hiding their top lane for now. They want to see what exactly Reason they're going to pick in. Irelia would be available if they're still looking for a top lane and Kassadin's not going up there. Maokai would be available, Na as well, should they look to pick any of those up. And they still haven't picked their jungler, and this is quite strange from Reason. Normally they'll just, if Lee Sin is available, just pick Lee. And Lee into Rek'Sai tends to be an alright matchup. You can kind of fight as long as you know exactly where each other are. You can pick your battles pretty well.
Yeah, I almost feel like if they do lock this in, that's going back to the expansion tournament where it's just like, no, we don't really want Lee. But they do pick in the Rengar here for Zayu. That was banned out yesterday. Yeah. So maybe Zayu even just prioritizes that over Lee Sin right now. They also lock in the Irelia for the top lane. So now we know where the Caston is.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential here to just blow one individual person up pretty quickly. Between Rengar, Irelia, and Kassadin, somebody's getting jumped on.
Someone's gonna die.
Somebody's gonna die. So, N-Faculty, they could pick something like a Maokai to try and help protect from that here. The Maokai-Irelia matchup is a bit of a farm matchup as well, so there's not exactly too much that goes on. That's if they want the Lulu down in the bottom lane. They potentially could still be looking for a support. So there's still a lot of options here from N-Faculty.
Yeah, Na's still available if they want that one as well in the top lane. That would go nicely. The crunch into the Wild Grove combo, they've got that in there, but they are taking their time. Honestly, most of these picks have used basically the full amount of time to get them in. The very last pickup for N-Faculty, what did they do to counter out this very aggressive get on and jump you composition? Sitting on the not the Maokai, Mundo. Dr. Mundo. Dr. Maokai would be a different thing.
That would be a very different
Mundo comes in here as the top laner, and yeah, that was actually not what I was expecting at all.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a fair amount of sense. He's difficult enough to blow up, so he's a good frontline champion here. You pair that with a Lulu as well. Very difficult to actually take him off the map with this kind of composition, at least when throughout the mid game. So Reason are going to have their work cut out for them with that. But typically we haven't seen Dr. Mundo pick too much apart from in against double AP compositions. So Faculty clearly putting Zaz's experience, right up there, saying, hey, I can pick Dr. Mundo into this. I'm feeling pretty confident about this matchup.
Right, like he was the one calling that out surely on TeamSpeak. It wasn't just like, oh, hey guys, it was like, we will give you this champion, you're going to play it, and you're going to like it. But no, Zaz's has been obviously in the competitive scene for such a long time, was playing on in LCS teams, of course, and now heading into this, he knows what will work into that matchup. So we'll see how this all turns out as we do head into the game.
We will indeed.
As we load into the game, remember to cast your vote for who you think will win this match at lolesports.com, and we'll check the results as we head through the game.
Yeah, and when we look at these compositions, between these two teams, we've already kind of highlighted how Reason are going to just want to jump on one person. The problem is now they've got to jump on a Graves that has got a Lulu to protect, while LeBlanc is kind of going crazy, going straight into them, and they've got to bypass a Rek'Sai and a Mundo. So there's a fair amount of difficulty with actually jumping through.
Big
but it's all down to the execution.
It is. That is the keyword stress as we head into this one. Our very first game, at least broadcasted here on the Wednesday. First game of the 2015 EU Challenger Series. Reason Gaming now swapping up to the blue side, and Faculty now onto the red side. So this is an interesting one for me, at least, as we've been looking at these junglers. Zayu, in particular, gone for this Rengar over the Lee Sin.
Yeah, and as we said, Faculty yesterday didn't want anything to do with the Rengar. Today didn't find it so important to ban away. And we've got Zayu on that champion. And something we noted yesterday, Robin from the jungle is taking a lot of points in the Mastery's utility tree. And we discussed this, and you were kind of bringing up how that kind of indicates a little bit about having that slightly better clear early on when it comes to how healthy you are, so you can gank very easily. So we're wondering whether Robin is gonna go mid fairly often, like we saw yesterday. This is exactly the same duo we saw from them. And before level 6, Takefun is going to be a little bit vulnerable when it comes to his mobility.
Yeah, we actually did see him go into that mid lane with the Rek'Sai yesterday, and yeah, it was really good. But Reason Gaming have already seen their cards. They've seen them do this before, and they'll probably pull a little bit further back. We did see some wards go down, but nothing too aggressive from these teams, just up and down the river. But yeah, Faculty, what can they do in this game?
And speaking of warding, we actually haven't seen a lot of deep warding out from a lot of the challenger teams, which is kind of surprising because when you look at LCS, everybody has these structured level 1 plays. You go in, you get particular wards down exactly where you want them, and from there, you kind of have a lot of control over the vision. This game, everything is fairly defensive. Nobody's really looking for any kind of lane swaps. You can see Cedric and a Mountain going to start on their own Gromp. So to begin this game, it's going to be a fairly passive one.
Yeah, Zayu will be coming in here with Kuban just starting up that Grump, and he'll be heading into the top lane. So we don't have any lane swaps, we just go into the duo lanes here. And Cedric and Libic will be doing the same thing in the bot lane, taking away the Krug and getting that early level 2. They will be sharing experience here, so they should be hitting level 2 at around the same time when they get some minions.
Yeah, indeed. And over to this mid lane matchup, you can see that SozPureFect's actually picked up a Flask himself for this laning phase, which isn't exactly typical, but you can see the damage he's taking from Takefun. This isn't exactly a favorable matchup for SozPureFect here. And he knows he's got to sustain, but down in that bottom lane, level 2 for Cedrian.
Yeah, these two are already going at it. Just managed to get the help picks down. Mountain putting down some harassment. Cedrian actually came up behind in that trade, even though it looked like he was the one on the aggression. But fairly even so far, and they have started to zone him away from the creeps as well. Yeah,
taking a fair amount of damage down in that bottom lane, but they've got to be careful of the Graves burst. Now that he's ahead in levels, they need to make sure that they can keep up with him and really just not get caught out by the burst that Graves going to have. But speaking of caught out, Rowin's looking for Zayu, but his movement, or his vision is based on movement, and with a recall in that bush, Zayu is going to get away.
Yeah, well, he's going to find Scott Cramp, who's always moving, but he was in around the right area, but shot the Prey Seeker out and didn't manage to find the battleship. But ward goes down, and luckily Robin just happens to be there with the Razor Sharp buff, and he'll be taking that one away. Plus 10 gold in the bank. And he'll actually stay around the area. Kuban, he's completely blind to this. Comes in with the tunnel, comes in behind him, will be land sharking him up. comes in with the stun. Zaza's across with the cleaver as well. Kuban gets away, and he takes a small chunk of his health away.
Yeah, at this point, there's not a whole bunch of kill potential top, but maybe bottom lane.
Yeah, Cedric lands the bookshot, but it'll be good to go for now. Gets a level 3, and they have popped a couple health potions. In fact, Libic's got another 2 ready to go.
Yeah, and actually, take a look at Zayu heading bottom lane through the river. Cedric and a mountain, and maybe a little bit late to back off.
Yep, Zayu's coming through, does land the bowler, has that one to lock him down. First blood goes right to Zayu. They were way too pushed forward, didn't have the warding that they needed.
And you could see that Cedric and a mountain were pushing quite a far forward just due to this lane duo of Graves and Lulu. That's kind of what they want to do. It's a very kind of an old school lane in that setup, and obviously, and Faculty just getting caught out. They had a ward down, but it just didn't seem to be enough there.
And for me, where Faculty yesterday were so dominant in the early game, and this game, if Reason Gaming just keep up the pressure, keep up the early game, then where do they come back into this? Because Faculty didn't have an answer, and through this game, if they don't start off with a better start to the game, that's just even going to be worse for them.
Yeah, it could be worse indeed, but taking a look back at this mid lane, you can see that LeBlanc is already starting to outfarm Kassadin a little bit, and a very interesting point is that FLICKR actually does this flask start on LeBlanc. It just means that you can out-sustain against Kassadin, get yourself better through this trickier early start to the game, and we have to see SozPerfect start to move out of the lane. That's one of the big important things in this kind of matchup is who's going to be able to get that first roam off. That's going to be the important moment here in this game.
Yeah, but in that mid lane, there is a 10 CS differential so far, so usually expect it to be a bit of a difficult matchup for SozPerfect, but he's been making the best of it, has gotten ahead in that lane. Taking a look at the top lane now, Zazas and Kuban. Zazas again ahead of his lane as Robin is trying to come up and maybe get something done. Did clear out that ward before, but of course the trinket's back up, has placed that one down again.
And Robin just hasn't had the impact in this game yet, but here he's going in.
Tunnels over the wall, he's digging his way into this lane. Kuban has to jump back to the back line of minions. Zazas will flash after him. Some jukes and dives, but won't get him away. Zayu is there to chime in. Tries to look for this next tunnel. Got one more second left on that cooldown. Gets a knock up with the Zayu. He's now under attack. Comes out with the Furious Bite. Not enough damage. Mid lane though, Ignite ticking down onto SozPerfect. The clone bites the dust, but SozPerfect's just fine.
Back up in that top lane, give the Employee of the Month award over to Zayu. Caught that briefcase, says no more overtime for you, Kuban, and gets Kuban out of that situation. But Zayu still might be a little bit caught here. Still has his flash though, so Robin's going to back away. But speaking of Robin and Zayu, in this matchup, this is the inverse pretty much of what we saw yesterday. Zayu makes his impact felt known first. In this game, Robin just really has been a little bit flat so far. Did just get a flash though in that top lane gank.
Yeah, Zayu again has actually gone for that Trailblazer, so he's still going for the same thing, but it's actually doing something in lanes, whereas yesterday he just kind of went from camp to camp to camp, and Robin started counter-jungling him. So yeah, very different to what we saw. But now into the bot lane once again. CS very equal, but going for the double Durans actually from Cedric here as opposed to the pickaxe from Celiver. Yeah,
and it's to do with that earlier back time because of the gank from Zayu. He forced Cedric back so early that he didn't really have the gold to pick up a full item, or at least, you know, a larger part of a full item. So Cedric is down on power here in this matchup, and now they have to go against Celiver and Libic, who have kind of outlasted this early phase of the game. And remember, Cedric and Mountain hit level 2 first and pushed very hard to begin the game. That just got exploited by Reason.
Yeah, and now they control this lane. Still holding even actually in this lane. It's not too bad for them just yet. But Zayu now into this jungle, farming away. We'll be just heading through his lanes. Mid is fairly difficult to gank right now, especially with SozPerfect. Now the double distortion. Be heading down into the bottom river. Now, what is he looking for? Just find the crab. He'll be getting that vision. Maybe even setting for an early dragon as well, but these lanes have not been doing too much. He just managed to proc off the Razor Sharp buff, so he knows there's a ward around the area, but only has 10 seconds to clear it out.
Oh, it died anyway. It's okay. Although that is it's okay for Faculty because they just got a free Razor's buff on a ward that would have timed out on a Rengar that's moving past anyway.
Yeah.
So Zayu's going to be kicking himself on that one.
Well, all he was really losing was 10 gold, and he definitely knew that the only push it could have been in.
But it's not only that, because the pressure was going to be released in that bot lane anyway as that ward died. So it's actually a little frustrating here for Zayu that got procced off so early, because now it reduces his gank potential, and Faculty have just placed exactly the same ward again, and Zayu got nothing.
Zayu got nothing, and he even lost his blue buff as well from Robin. So maybe feeling the pain from yesterday a little bit as he had his red buff taken away. This time it's going to be the blue buff. Does find the pink ward in the mid lane. That one didn't see Rengar coming, but again, the crab into the upper river here. Robin does find him. Here comes the Prey Seeker.
This is awkward.
You have found the crab. And Zayu chases him into the Baron pit. Oh, there happens to be a tunnel there, and he'll be getting back to safety. But Zayu does get the crab.
Robin might come back around, though. I think Robin wants that crab, too, and I don't think he's going to give it away too easily. Or maybe he wants Take Fun in the middle lane.
He might just take him instead. If Aerial Chains comes down, there's a Sidral of Malice, followed up by Robin's huge damage from the Furious Bite. He goes down. Take Fun, 0-1.
Oh, just in the nick of time, Robin managed to just tunnel his way under, gets that unburrow for the knockup. And, you know, Robin, he felt a little bit of a timing window there as Zayu was over in his own jungle. He knew where he was, knew he had the time, and that there was no real wards around that area, only in the river bush because they'd seen it clearer with that pink. However, Zayu's going to try and make this one count. Zaz is in the top.
Right out of the bush, he has those ferocity stacks stacked up, and Zaz can't go anywhere with the bowler landing right on top of him. He goes down, but that's traded for the dragon.
Yeah, all that Zayu in that top lane gets, that one kill, trades for the knowledge that the dragon is easy pickings here. And there has been warding out by N-Faculty. Take a look in the top side jungle on that blue buff. I'm pretty sure they spotted him on his own Gromp as he passed through the jungle. So they knew Zayu was in the top side of the map. That's great timing out of N-Faculty, using this push in the bottom lane, using the kill in the middle lane to pick up their first dragon of the game.
Yeah, Zazas is not going to be unhappy about that turnout. One dragon now to the team of N-Faculty. So they do bounce back just a little here. Robin now onto his blue buff. He's actually looking towards his warrior enchantment now. Does have that Stalker's Blade ready to go, as opposed to what Zayu's been going for, but he didn't even swap it out. He actually chose to carry on with the Trailblazer.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we've seen out of Zayu yesterday. He picked up a very early Trailblazer and just continued to farm, so obviously wants that little bit of help with the clear through the jungle as Rengar, but Zayu made his presence felt first. This time Robin has fired back, and it kind of resulted in a dragon for them as well. First Rek'Sai ult of the game. And there's the farm alarm.
Farm alarm right onto the Raptors.
Although,
taking those away.
Something that could be useful is an alarm here for the top lane. Have they noticed that Take Fun is on his way up? Zazis still has his ult, though.
Oh, here comes Take Fun right with the ultimate coming through. He'll pop Sages, and Kuban lands the Ecolivium strike, but he comes away with it.
That's a really weird timed gank by Take Fun. They knew Flash is still available. They knew Zazis still had his ultimate. I'm not sure what an Irelia and a Kassadin are going to do to a Mundo under a tower when there's no minion wave with it. A little bit of a weird timing there out of reason, and maybe they're not quite centered because Robin's coming and back up to the top lane.
Yeah, and there's no help to be seen. Always feel like we've seen this one before. Stress. Kuban coming away with the Blade Surge. Robin shouldn't be able to catch him here. Just whiffs the Prey Seeker as well on the way out. Kuban will have to head back to base, but he just had the teleport to get right back in there.
Back and forth ganks in the top lane with no real result for either team there. A lot of time spent by junglers and mid laners, everybody trying to go up to the top. But this is Irelia and Mundo. Neither is really going to die. One is heavily mobile and can jump to creeps and flash away from you. The other is Dr. Mundo. And he's not going to die with his ult up and a chain vest and a giant's belt so far. So interesting, but mid lane, they're a lot more squishy over there. Soz Perfect and Take Fun are going to trade, but the real threat could potentially be in bottom lane. This could be the first ultimate out of Rengar in the game. Is he going to go in? Looks like there's the ult.
Okay, it's the thrill of the hunt. He'll flash right into Mountain as well. Does get the lockdown with the bowler strike. He comes back underneath that turret. Oh, the Ignite's ticking down. Sedgen tries to turn around. He comes in with the buckshot. It's not enough damage, and Mountain gets away with it.
Beware the Graves burst in that situation. Beware the LeBlanc burst as well.
Comes in with the mid lane. Doesn't have anything else to offer. He's used all of the burst. In fact, he does have the Ignite, but he doesn't have any more abilities, and that would have not been enough by itself.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been enough as it is. Robin heads back to his own jungle and will hopefully look to clear out some wards, but hasn't yet.
Yeah, right now, taking a look at that vote, 63% on the side of Reason Gaming. They did win the game, as we saw yesterday, and they do have a very good track record against N-Faculty, but that's a lot closer than I was kind of expecting.
Yeah, 63% going with yesterday's result. Zayu's heading through the jungle, will clear out a ward of his own. You can see him just standing still, not really doing too much, just because he knew Robin was around, doesn't want him getting that tremor sense indicating anything. Wow, look at that damage in mid lane. Take Fun.
Yeah, comes in with a flash as well, jumps back onto that distortion pad, but Take Fun was already away, home and dry. Back to that second turret in there with the Rift Walk. Zayu came in just in case he decided to go all the way in, but so much aggression in the mid lane. Only one kill so far to Soz Pure Effect because of that early game gank. But this is still very even between these two teams. Only 500 gold in it.
And I like the game plan out of N-Faculty. They knew they were picking a matchup that maybe wasn't so great. They itemized for it well in the beginning with the Flask on LeBlanc, and then from there, Raubin's just been mid, and hey, it's worked out. They've been able to lock down Kassadin very early on, stopped him from getting anywhere on the map. The only time he gets out, he goes for a target that really just doesn't have a lot of kill potential at all. So honestly, Reason need to get Take Fun into this game a little bit more. Maybe they need Zayu to start spending a little more time, but what do you do against a LeBlanc? She just dashes out twice. There's not really too much that you can get in on a gank there. You need to burst everything on her.
Yeah, I mean, Soul's Perfect doesn't have his flash anymore, but holding that point for a second. Livic has been called out. Mountain and Cedric coming in from the bot side. Still locked down, has the slow. Robin comes in with the last swipe of the claw and takes him out. Another kill goes over to N-Faculty, just picking him off in the river as he's trying to ward. Yeah, it was a little bit perhaps greedy when you look at it from Libic. He went to move out into the river, and from there just didn't have the support of Seliver at that point, and Robin just picks up an easy kill. Yeah, very good. Evening up completely now. There is literally nothing in this game. Robin sitting into the top side of this bottom tower will be closing in onto around Seliver, but Zayu comes in from the side. Cedric is way overextended, and the team was already on the way out. He was not reading from the same sheet. We will Take Fun from the mid lane. Soz Purefect as well. He'll be ducking. I'm pretty sure he's ducking around. I'm pretty sure he's not doing the first thing, as well. He's all the way into their jungle. Libic's the one who's chasing him out. He comes into this red pit now, and Libic gets slowed down briefly by the ethereal chains. Where is he going? He's getting out. Soz Perfect is out of here. This was the great escape by Soz Purefect. Takes another tower shot, takes one from both the cast minions as well, but he executes, and Libic wasn't able to land an auto attack. Executed after all of that ducking around in the fight. However, you can see Zaz is pushing on the top tower in the meanwhile. So what was that overall? We saw Cedrian dive in. Soz Purefect ended up dying and getting executed, and at this point they're going to trade tower for tower. So I think Reason are going to be moderately happy with that one, because that was a pretty botched dive out by N-Faculty at this situation. And strange happenings in that dive. Very, very messy overall. Yeah, we actually just saw the trail ends of that. Oh, Mountain! He's called out by Zayu. Take Fun, Libic, where did you come from? All out of that bush, he goes down. And Zazz, as Raubin comes in from the top side, he'll be tunneling right into the middle of all three of them, but they're still on the retreat. Zedrin from the bot will be looking to try and do some more damage. There comes the Prey Seeker, knocks them all back to the Monsoon, and that's the disengage you were talking from Champion Select. Yeah, great Monsoon there by Janna, just utilizing that disengage herself. But N-Faculty are in front of the Dragon here. Kuban, I wonder whether they're going to trade this away, because this would be the second Dragon, and in fact they are. Wow, Zaz gets there in time. Kuban's not even going to be able to push. He ran out of minions, so that's the second Dragon in favor of N-Faculty. Yep, they're sitting on 2 right now. The Dragon counter is lying to. Oh, there you go. And Seliver now moving on to Cedric and Libic as well. Just get the chase down. In comes with the culling. I'm not sure if it's going to be too much damage by itself. Did have the flash only on another 20-second cooldown. So it was going to take him a while to catch up to him. Zayu onto the bottom side of this bottom jungle, sitting on the tunnel. Robin not going to be too happy with this. Comes over the wall, gets a smite down. Will be slowing him. Mountain from the side. Zayu will have to burn his thrill of the hunt to get away from this. It was either that or he dies, so I think Zayu will be okay with that. And he didn't burn flash. He gets himself away, so pretty composed exit to the enemy jungle there from Zayu, but you can see he's trying to get... Oh, Rabin's going in himself. That's a lot of damage from Take Fun. Take Fun right on top of him with the Rift Walk, and there comes the flash from Zayu right out of the bush. We'll get the leap as well. Soz Purefect was there to respond. He gets flattened by Take Fun as he jumps onto him with the Rift Walk. Mountain from the side was able to offer one auto attack, and then he'll be heading back to his base. Reason have started to pick up the pace a little bit, and you know what? N-Faculty have tried to get a couple of picks here. That bottom lane play, the jungle play, N-Faculty are trying to get just as many picks as they can, and it hasn't been working out for them. Every time they've gone for it, they've traded them back and forth with Reason, and it's Reason that are coming out ahead. They've actually got a kill on every single player here for Reason Gaming, and you know, it's a lot of it's the vision game here. Rek'Sai into the jungle. Take Fun's taken on 2. Yeah, he's still a fair ways behind though. There comes Distortion, jumps right back into him. Does have the Wild Growth Warren now into the fight. Libic's out of mana, but Take Fun was away. Zaz is in the top lane, just slowly putting the damage onto Kuban. Zayu comes into this fight as well, has to pop the sadism, has flash if he wants to get away from that Baron pit, but he's going to turn it around. Mountain and Robin already fighting in the mid lane. They're ready to turn into this one. So it's Pure Effect right over the wall, the double distort, and the auto attack comes in for the kill.
Yeah, Kuban with the sacrifice at that point, knew he was a gunner, didn't even burn his flash, so again, good composure out of Reason. And Faculty knew they kind of had a good window there to fight. Mundo now with a Sunfire Cape and a Giant's Belt as well, has a big chunk of health, add into that 2 cloth armor as well. So, and Faculty feel like they can fight a bit more here, and I'm inclined to potentially agree, but you can see how much damage Takefun is just throwing back into Soz Perfect's face.
Yeah, now 2,000 gold advances to Reason Gaming in this game. As you mentioned, kill on every single one of their members. Take a look at that Medjai's as well. That's where the gold's gone to for Livic, at least, onto that Janna. And somewhat common nowadays, you do see Janna sometimes pick up that Medjai's.
Yeah, there's a couple of different schools of thought on the Medjai's. Some people say it's great, some people, you know, a little bit
not so much.
less a fan of the Medjai Soul Stealer. What we do know, though, is if you intend not to die for a while, it is actually a pretty good item if you get a lot of assists. Yeah, and of course it now starts with stacks as well. So yeah, at this point, it's all on Livic. If he wants to make this item gold efficient, he has to just keep himself safe and play a little bit greedier and just give assists around. But nevertheless, if you do start stacking that up, you just become very, very strong as your utility just completely skyrockets.
Yeah, it is typically the intent of the player not to die in League of Legends, but he'll be trying more so in this game. 5 and 3 currently on the scoreboard, and a bunch of items being picked up across the board as well. Mundo is going all in on this resistance to armor, or to the AD damage at least, from the team of Reason Gaming. And when you look at them, they just have Takefun for that AP. And right now, he's not too scared of the Kassadin. Saw him come into the top lane earlier, but Kuban is a bigger threat. And even with that armor, that true damage is cutting right through it.
Yeah, and Kuban's also got himself some a bit more resist when it comes to things from a Spectre's Cowl as well. So a little bit less damage going to be done there as well. But Reason Gaming haven't really established the deep wards in the last couple of minutes. One goes out by Libic, just a little bit shallow into that Wraith area, as you can just about see. But there is a pink ward there, so Soz Perfect's going to clear that one out. They haven't really established too much on the map, and honestly, something really interesting is Celiva has been locked in this bottom lane with Cedrian for a very long time, and we saw in a massively extended laning phase in some of the games yesterday, and it seems very similar this time as well. We're 21 minutes in, and Celiva hasn't really left. Oh, he might be in trouble. Oh, no, okay. I was going to say, Flash is still available, not in trouble yet.
Well, Robin's left his mark on the bottom lane, has put down that tunnel, but Celiva clears it out. That'll be the end of that tunnel. Rest in peace. Kuban into the top side here, does already have his Trinity Force and the Spectre's Cowl, as you mentioned, and is now heading back to base. Been following very well in this game, 192 to Mundo's 177. Did seem with a small advantage earlier, but that's been swapped up. And now with 1 minute until the Dragon, Takefun and Zayu attack teaming this crab. Not having a good day today, and just have the full ferocity stacks, and we'll be spending that on something that has to be the case, and well, probably spending it on that red buff which has spawned, so there you go.
Yeah, indeed. Probably spending it on that one. Taking a quick look at that jungle itemization. As you'd expect, that warrior enchant has been finished for both of these junglers. And alongside that, a Kindle gem onto Rengar as well. So getting himself a little bit tanky from the side of that one. And Takefun, speaking of tanky, you can see that Rod of Ages is doing a lot of work now, making him stack up far less easy for Soz Perfect to start bursting off here.
Yeah, the big thing in this game is, well, Reason Gaming are once again winning, like they have always against Faculty, but they are 2 dragons up on them right now, and if they can secure this 3rd one, then the timer starts going for them, and they might be able to pick up that 5th, and that would be such a big boost for them heading into this game. And it might be what they need just to tip the tables in their favor just a little over Reason Gaming.
Yeah, indeed, and Faculty have pretty much everything they should need to at this point to take this dragon when it comes to their comp, but at the same time, look at top lane, slightly pushing in towards them. Mid lane is being shoved in as well, so the vision control on Faculty really isn't quite there. They've got the position, but do Reason really want to fight this? They go on Cedrian.
Yeah, Kuban's going right onto Cedrian, does get his Blaze Surge down. Zayu is there, has used Thriller the Hunt. They know he's around with the exclamation marks above their head. Cedrian again is being pushed away by Libic, almost saved here. Mountain will be the first to drop. In fact, Zayu will trade places with him. Another Cedrian goes down. Libic right over the wall, and Kubon is still on the hunt, going after Zazas as well. He'll be flashing over the wall, but the other team happens to have jumps. He'll be going over the wall and going down under. 4-1. Reason Gaming so far ahead in that fight.
It's almost identical to yesterday. Dragon and Faculty try and fight, and it looks so good to begin with. And Reason just in response take 4 people down, get the Dragon for themselves. And yesterday at this point Reason were behind. Today they're ahead. And honestly, and Faculty looked like they were playing that fight out pretty well to begin with. They got a fair amount of burst down from Cedrian. But then they exposed the fleshy underbelly of Mountain after he'd used his ultimate, and Cedrian, once it had worn off. And from that point, and Faculty kind of got all of their carries picked off, and it was easy pickings for Reason. Yeah,
and we have to see if history repeats itself, and from here on out, TakeFun also gets caught, and then it gives Faculty a way back into the game. But so far, TakeFun's been doing a pretty damn good job in this game. Hasn't been jumping onto Soz Pure Effect when he's got Zhonya's Hourglass available, which we saw before.
Yeah, that was something we saw yesterday in yesterday's game, so we didn't quite catch on the highlights, but you know, it wasn't exactly the cleanest game yesterday, and this one hasn't been all that clean to begin with. A couple of good, well-executed dives, a couple of not-so-good executed dives, but execution is the key factor here, as you know, and Faculty need to potentially buy themselves a bit of time, but when you look at it, they need to get more onto Soz Pure Effect and Cedrian, because at this point in the game, they're not far enough ahead that their composition is all that working right now.
No, it is not. They need to get some more picks, but they're just being strangled. They're being pushed into one place, but they're all just grouping up, and Reason Gaming are saying, okay, we're fine with this game. We'll take you in a 5-on-5. We know we can out-team fight you. We know we have the mechanics to do so. And Soz Pure Effect trying to get this pick by himself. Celeva's around the corner. Robin trying to chime in for the assist here. We'll be using Thriller the Hunt, but oh, here comes the counter. Tremor Sense, where's he going? Where's he going? Doesn't land it. Can he get the Sense down? Well, Zaz's from the top side, and that stealth has run out, and it will run out eventually, but he's already away with the rest of his team back to that bottom turret.
Yeah, Zayu gets out, but maybe a hint of over-aggressive or overconfident play from Reason. They were shoving bot up pretty hard and getting into the jungle, and Reason, they're a team that have kind of done that a couple of times, that when they get ahead, they can become a little bit messy when it comes to making the decisions. Wow, look at Soz Pure Effect's health just completely getting shredded down, but at this point, this is a good timing here for Faculty. They found themselves in front of a turret, and it will go down in the middle lane, so that was a great little spot by Faculty, knowing that they had bot lane backing.
Yeah, it's a nice map movement, and it's nice that they're also able to get away cleanly, because sometimes we have seen teams being like, oh, we can get this one, and again, engaged on and die. So, Faculty coming away with this very nicely, taking away that one turret. They are still lagging behind, one turret over their opponents of Reason Gaming. And now into this game, they are still ahead, still fairly significantly ahead, and plus the extra Dragon as well. They've started to even up even those objectives. So all that Faculty had going for them is starting to slowly slip away from them.
At the same time, though, they've been making a couple of little moves here and there just to make sure that they're staying in it. That mid turret going down for them is a good start, perhaps, on the way back. However, they maybe need to keep ticking up the Dragons. You've got to keep track of that as well, because Faculty did get the first 2 of the game, but Reason are doing a great job of just kind of strangling the vision away from Faculty. We were talking a little bit about how they weren't doing so good at that earlier into the game, but you can see that this opens up a bit of a path for Zayu.
Zayu comes in from the side, lands straight with the bowler, right, with Robin as well over the wall with the tunnel. Didn't even use the one that was already there. Jump over the wall by TakeFun. What's he looking for? He's kind of caught in the middle of nowhere, but he's good to go. Soz Pure Effect escapes with his life.
Yeah, but this opens up so much here for Reason, because now they're going to be able to shove bot with Irelia to kind of split push it up to the tower and then move everybody down there and ensure that is pushing in their favor to the turret. One of the issues that is going to prevent them from pushing further here is that top lane, because it will start pushing in towards them, and Reason they're going to have to send somebody over there at least to kind of sort it out for now, which alleviates a little bit of pressure after that tower goes down here for Faculty. So Faculty are confident enough just to kind of have mid and bottom lane covered for now.
Yeah, now they move back into the mid lane. There's the double distort. Robin as well. Wingman trying to get something done. Has the Ethereal Change landing. Just get the spell shield up, but that's not enough, and that won't do anything against the collateral damage right to the face. He will be biting the dust. And what can Faculty do with this?
Yeah, what's the decision making from here? Because it was a mid laner that got taken down. So, you know, it would be risky to do a Baron this early on in the game with the enemy jungler still around, and they didn't exactly have the vision control, but they have, however, established control over the Baron, so there won't be any kind of Baron sneaks out by Reason anytime shortly. But in this game, actually, FAC just really didn't do too much of that. They got the pick and were like, okay, we got it. We can take a moment to breathe.
Yeah, I mean, they took Raptors. Sos Pure Effect was fairly low off the back of that engage as well. The Dragon wasn't up, there wasn't anything to go for. And they just don't really have anything to push. Or rather, they do have something to push, but they didn't feel confident enough to do so, even with Take Fun off the board. Kuban's doing well in this game, 2-1-3. Zayu as well, 1-1-7. He's been assisting in 8 out of the 9 kills in this game. He's been all over the place. And
speaking of Kuban as well, he's going to become quite a problem here because he's up over in the top lane. They're having to put 2 people up there to deal with him, with Sos Pure Effect and Robin up there. Ooh, Kuban stuck around. He wanted to back away.
The Brave Seeker as well. That will be cutting through the spell shield. Sos Pure Effect latches on with the chains. That will be forcing out the flash by Kuban. That's a long cooldown down for him. Nice burn by Faculty. Teleport
is still available though, so if he wants to keep himself being a nuisance in these kind of situations, Reason have all the tools in the world to do so. Timing on that brings Dragon up pretty soon after, and actually Robin showing top means that Reason could just focus this down very quickly here. They'd have to have a Rek'Sai tunnel in place, which there just isn't around this Dragon area, so Reason should be able to take their second of the game here pretty uncontested.
Yeah, and Faculty, of course, had the timer, but didn't want to go for it, didn't even want to try and contest. That's the second Dragon going down for Reason Gaming, the 4th of the game in total, and they'll be evening that one up. So, yeah, and Faculty just do not feel like they can take them in a head-on engagement.
Yeah, and that's a little bit worrying for Faculty as well, because when it comes to the mobility game, moving around the map, Reason are just going to be faster when it comes to it right now. In this current situation, Reason should have established vision control. Again, their wards have just timed out in the top side jungle as well, so they will re-establish that. And then it's just a game of Reason moving around the map, potentially ahead of Faculty, but they haven't really got there yet. And this is a very shallow game when it comes to it. No teams are really overly aggressively pushing their control on this game, which is what we've started to see out of some of the top teams in LCS. You look at a team like Fnatic, who are just very aggressive again and again, constantly pushing into their enemy's territory and just taking any kind of control away from them. We're not really seeing that so much in this game.
Yeah, this is definitely a contrast. After picking up an objective or picking up a kill, the goal's objective is then to back off and try and pick up some camps, pick up some more farm, and eventually it will get to a breaking point. Robin's Razor Sharp has activated. He finds himself that ward. Comes through the Brave Seeker as well. Doesn't find a victim.
It's always a disheartening moment as a jungler. When you move over a pink ward and your Razor Sharp goes off, it's like, oh, I would have seen that one anyway if I was being diligent.
You say that, but a lot of people just walk right past them, but they're not going to be walking past Robin. They jump right into the fray. Comes in with the culling. All the shots fly through onto Robin's backside. He'll turn around with the Queen's Wrath. Not enough damage to dissuade them. Or I should say, is enough damage to dissuade them, but they'll be taking his red buff.
Take a look down in the bottom lane, though. Who's causing a nuisance of himself? Kuban on Irelia, as you'd expect, is down there. This might kick off a fight, though, and Kuban might be forced to teleport. Depends where the Sos Pure Effect goes in.
Well, this is a 4v5, but they engage on him. Zayu comes right into the middle of the team. They'll be taking him out. In fact, he jumps over the wall. He's still alive. Kuban now into the back line of the team. He's very well built, but even he has to back off here. Zazz is in the fight, but now the Irelia is there to sweep up the mess, and Sos Pure Effect goes down. Now they're all huddling around this top turret, but I'm not sure how much sanctuary that's going to give them.
Only one kill from that, but the slow push that was set up in this top lane just arrives in time for Reason Gaming. They're in front of it. Robin's looking to go in, or is he looking to tunnel out?
Well, he's not going anywhere because he gets destroyed by Reason Gaming. He was sitting in the bush and not entirely sure what he was doing there. Cedric now be rushed down as the tower falls, and Take Fun jumps after with the Riftwalk as well. They have that ability to just stick on targets with those constant jumps. Zazz now moves into this bush. Will he get the disruption, or will he just die and accept the same fate as Robin? That bush is not a good bush to go into.
Yeah, that bush is baiting more people to die than it is providing any kind of help here. I think Robin and Zazz think they're playing against the Rek'Sai, just standing there not really doing too much in the bush, but Reason will be happy to take those kind of kills again and again. This is a massive lead here for Reason, and finally the waves are pushing in their favor in both lanes. It's been set up for them now so that they can finally get a lot more pressure on the map. Would not be surprised to see a Reason look to bait a Baron from here. Dragon isn't up for another couple of minutes here. Towers, the only one of the outer towers that is really remaining is still the mid lane, so here is just control vision. Bait and Faculty into a position that you know they've kind of been stepping into a little haphazardly anyway, and then take towers from that.
Reason Gaming here really look like they're in control of this game now after just kind of sitting idly by for a long time. This is an Irelia whose farms have put enough that's given them the confidence to go further into this game. Reason Gaming looking for a pick maybe onto Soz Pure Effect. Zayu was not able to get in range just in time. Tremor Sense will see them all in this jungle, taking away his blue buff again. Robin has not been able to keep his friends alive so far in this game. And now they'll just back off. And Faculty definitely on the back foot. Reason Gaming being a lot more decisive now. We'll see what they do with their time. But this has been a very different game from what we've seen yesterday. We had a long, extended laning phase. It was actually 23 minutes until that thing ended. But this time, Reason Gaming have just been picking up advances way early into the game. And Cedrin, why are you staying there? He gets almost knocked up, but actually doesn't land a CC. Kuban now backing away from this turret. Did manage to get the teleport down from Zazas. He's coming into the fight, and it will be enough to defend the turret for now.
Again, no reason. They're playing the we're going to do things in other lanes game, and they've shoved bot lane up to the inhib. They now know that LeBlanc is over there. They have the numbers in mid lane should they wish to fight. I think at this rate, they're just going to take the tower down from a distance and just be content with that.
Oh, the bowler right onto Cedrin. It will follow up with the culling as well. Just get the Monsoon to knock them all the way onto the turret. Double tap onto Robin. He took so much poke. I thought it was Cedrin was going to die. It was actually the Rek'Sai.
This is a Celaver that we really have not seen in a while. Yesterday's game, no deaths, 6 kills on Kalista. So far in this game, 5 kills, no deaths, 3 assists on Lucian. And, you know, we talked about it coming into this game. How would this matchup go? Lucian into Graves typically isn't all that favorable. He's made it work for himself. Zazis is taking a lot of damage. There was, I believe, an Ignite used out by Libic. They're going for the Steel Packs.
Over the wall, double distortion comes down, followed up by collateral damage, but it's Rengar who's the one to secure that Baron. And Take Fun's now on the assault, picks up Mountain. He'll be looking for more. Zazas had the Sades in there to back away himself.
And one of the most telling things about this game at that point in time is this is a fairly bursty composition out by NFAC with LeBlanc, with Graves. The amount of damage you'd expect them to do is fairly significant, and then they try and burst the Baron over the wall. Sure, it wasn't even the right time, but did you see how little damage, the collateral damage, and LeBlanc really was doing to Baron at that point? It's very, very difficult for them to actually blow anybody up at this point in time, and it's Reason that are constantly getting into the backline in this game.
Well, if anything says Snowball, it's the 2 Magi sitting on Reason Gaming currently. Looks like around 10 stacks coming in there for Kassadin, and looks
14.
like 14? I think that's 4.
I'm
4 stacks.
I'm pretty sure it's not 4 stacks because he bought it and it died once. And at that point, it's just going to continue to stack up and up and up and up and up.
Maybe Stress. I think it's 4.
Okay.
Hashtag value. But Zayu in the bot lane, he'll be farming away. He'll be pushing that one in as well. And I just see Stress peering at the monitor, trying to figure out what number it is.
It's 14, Pulse. If you don't die with Magi's, you don't lose any stacks, and you get a load of assists. It brings you right up to a high number. 14's a pretty high number when it comes to Magi stacks. But a Dragon is going to go down in favor of Reason Gaming at this point. Zayu's actually going to throw out his ultimate. They're looking to catch on to Soz Purefect.
This time, does he find his No.
No, Soz Purefect a little bit too mobile. Knew it was coming. Pink Ward was already down.
Just get Prey Seeked though.
But N-Faculty have now been pushed back into their base. And with a composition like this, who you're looking to burst pretty quickly, they will have to rely on Reason Gaming pushing too deep and trying to get into the backline when, honestly, with a Lucian here, with a Janna, they can kind of just siege up for a while, get the Irelia into another lane. You can see Kuban is already looking to set that up, and you just set up this 4-1. Sometimes you might even see the 3-1 as well with the Kassadin in another lane, but there's no reason right now, if you'll excuse the pun, for Reason to continue to push deep into the base. They can just go pretty shallow here and just consistently chunk people down by the looks of it.
Yep, Cedrian just taking the full brunt of that damage. NFAC trying to come around the sides here. They can just get some damage down onto Reason, but it's just siege and siege and siege. That was the Ignite coming out from Take Fun onto Cedrian. He'll be taking a trip back to the spawn pad, get some of that HP back, but will probably be taking the home guards right here. Indeed, he does, trying to get back down to the bottom lane. Robin is not tanky at all. He gets sliced up by the Reason Gaming's poke alone. Take Fun with another Force Pulse across onto these players. And nobody is left to deal with Kuban. No one can stand against him. He just takes a tower by himself. He sends Azaz up there as the sacrificial lamb. Here, take him instead of us. And I think it's going to be enough. He's just going to keep hammering away onto the inhib.
It's done.
It's gone. And they'll just move into the bot lane as well. They see him. He's under the turret. That's not very sneaky, but they don't have to be sneaky anymore. They move on to the fight, and they're just so far ahead of them. Celiva now chasing down onto Robin and Cedrian. Double tap onto Cedrian. He goes down. Robin looking for the last crit. Jumps onto the spawn pad. He's good to go. Celiva puts one step too far. That's his first step in 2 games. Zayu now also gets chased after. Here comes the ethereal chains. Just no damage coming from him though. And this looks like it's the end of the game, perhaps, as they return with a kill onto Take Fun, make that 2 for 2. Robin is now being chased after, and Kuban now comes into the fight. The one-man army is now just cleaning up this away, and Zaz he's going to die slowly, but at some point he will die, Stress.
Yeah, Kuban at this point has to stay alive, because there's no way that Reason can end this game without Kuban. Celiva already died in this engage, and really there's not exactly anything you can do with a lot of, well, without a tower pusher at that point. Honestly, that's Reason. They got a great push there in the top lane, take the inhib. They got a great push, got the inhib tower in the bottom lane, and then kind of go, well, we want to end the game. Let's go straight into their back lane and take everybody out. As you said, Celiva, his first death in 2 games here against NFAC, and honestly, that death was the difference between ending this game now and then ending the game on the next push. Because, I mean, it's pretty difficult for NFAC at this point to deal with 2 lanes, the other sides of the map pushing in. I mean, we'll see if NFAC can do it, but it's a tall, tall task.
Yeah, it's a very big mountain to climb, and even with mountain, I don't think they'll be able to climb it. But Zaz's and Cedrian head through their jungle, just clearing away the buffs. The small victories they can take before the game ends, honestly. Reason Gaming with their next push might be able to do it. Zaz is here, fairly low on the HP bar. He'll have to go back to base. I'm surprised he's staying out so long, not at full HP, knowing that inevitably Reason Gaming will be closing in on their position.
Yeah, indeed. Reason are going to push up to the last inhibitor tower. Rabin goes in.
Oh, this is last chance saloon for them, but there comes the boulder strike, locks him down again with another lockdown. Zayu's still off to the side. Kuban's now taking point, moves onto Cedrian as well, takes down the support, takes down him on to underneath that turret. They will be taking the middle turret, taking down the inhibitor as well. If they were in fantasy, they'd be getting so much for whoever had them right now, but all of the inhibs go down. Zaz's comes out with a cleaver, but it's just a drop in the water. A 3 versus 5 is not going to help them.
Farm alarm becomes the end of the game alarm, because this game is pretty much done, and Reason are going to take the 2-0.
Yeah, they want Zaz's, but they don't need to. They'll just head on to the Nexus, and Reason Gaming take this series 2-0 against NFAC, and as this isn't the best of 2, they just scored themselves 2 points in this round robin.
Yeah, Reason looking pretty good. You know, this game was a lot more controlled than the last game, and honestly, that is one of the biggest factors, is they sorted out that early game, because Zayu finally wasn't getting out jungled by Robin to begin the game, and maybe it was that Rengar pick.
Yeah, they just basically did everything. They got absolutely everything done. They won the early game with Zayu. He actually had impact on those lanes. Robin, yes, he did his own stuff in those lanes, but it just wasn't enough and wasn't anywhere close to what we saw yesterday as well. And not having that foundation to try and build on just meant that NFAC collapsed.
Yeah, indeed. And NFAC really just kind of couldn't do too much once Reason Gaming had their lead in that game. And honestly, when you look at it, another player who had just a great game was Celiva on that AD carry role. For the most part, a little bit of a hiccup at the end. But Celiva looked really strong over these last 2 days. And we were talking about it. It's not something we've seen all that much from Celiva in the expansion tournament, in other challenger tournaments that we've casted over the last maybe 6 months, and I'm glad to see Celiva finally getting back on top of things.
Yeah. And Celiva, Yeah, has just looked really, really good in this series. And in fact, the whole lineup of Reason Game have just looked really good in this series. And we said that if they perform, they can maybe challenge for those bigger slots up against Origin, up against Nevo, those bigger teams that everyone's been touting as some of the greatest teams in this series so far. And if they can secure that third spot, or even the second spot, they do have a chance of going into that promotion tournament. Yeah,
and that really is just the big point at the end of this is we're determining who is going up to LCS automatically, who is going to be playing against the 9th and 8th spot LCS teams, and really Reason Gaming take their first step there on the way. I don't think it's you know, cut and dry for Faculty. They've still got a lot to offer. It's now just all down to the rest of the games, and I'm excited to see how they do this season.
Yeah, well, we have to take a quick break, but when we return, it's time for Lowland Lions White versus Team Dignitas EU. We'll see you in 3.5.